And today I'm going to share with you some tips and strategies to help you attract more employees to your landscape company. I see that we have a lot of people here from garden centers and nurseries as well. So this will apply there as well. As we get into green industry recruiting secrets, how to attract your hell yes employees. So if you're looking for more qualified employees to fill your open positions, but you're feeling like you can't find anyone, and this could be having a big impact on your business. I actually talked with a client a few years ago before they had solved their recruiting challenges, and they were turning away over $1 million worth of work. That was a landscape company down in South Carolina because they couldn't fill the roles. Or if you're having trouble, we're going to cover that, and I'm going to share with you some case studies of real employees that are coming through this that work. So stay to the end, and we'll be answering questions live throughout. So go ahead and type them in the chat, and if it makes sense, I will answer it along the way. And we'll also be taking a look at websites if we have time. So like Danielle said, I would love to just talk with you. I might invite you on stage, if you will, to unmute, and we'll just have a chat. And if you stay to the end, we will share how you can get a special offer today to help you with your recruiting. So my name's Jack Jostes, and I'm the CEO here at Ramblin Jackson, the snow and landscape marketing agency, and I host the Landscaper's Guide podcast. We help snow and landscape companies all over the country with their marketing, with websites, with generating leads through SEO. And a lot of what I'm going to share with you is based on what I learned myself when I needed to recruit better employees. So as I grew, I realized that I needed to hire great people. And I was really struggling to do that at one point. I remember like I had some job posts that were open for months and I wasn't getting a reply. And I hired a business coach, Wayne, who helped me realize that my job advertisement sounded like a wanted advertisement. It sounded like I was like searching for some criminal who had done something awful. And I was like, wow, this really does sound awful. No wonder nobody's applying. And I started applying what I was learning about sales and marketing to get clients for my own company and for my marketing clients. And when I applied that to my recruiting, it flipped the switch, and I started attracting really great employees. And we've implemented these systems and developed them for the snow and landscape industry. My first job that I wasn't fired from within the first few months, I worked briefly at Panera Bread Company. It was not a good fit. But as soon as I could drive, I worked at Pesci's Flowers. Pesci's Flowers is a plant nursery. It's a garden center, and they have a flower shop. It's in the Chicago suburbs of Des Plaines. And I worked there for 3 or 4 summers in a row and didn't realize that that was the start of the green industry for me. At this time, it was just a summer job, but I'm really grateful I got to work there, and I got several raises while I was there and increased responsibilities, and ultimately learned a lot about hard work. So thrilled to see that there are some, looks like there's some nurseries here. So that's kind of my start in the green industry. And I'm going to share with you that our mission is helping small businesses ring the bell. So what that means to me is different things. It could be reaching a revenue goal. It could be reaching a recruiting goal is really the reason that you're here today. And you might notice I'm a little congested right now, so sorry about that. I have terrible allergies this time of year, partly because I've been up in the mountains turkey hunting. So I live here in Colorado, and there's a high pollen advisory right now in the mountains because all the trees are just like dusting pollen. There's like clouds of pollen, and I love it anyways because it's turkey season. So I recently hiked up the side of this mountain, and I put my binoculars on a tripod. And if you've never looked through binoculars on a tripod, it's amazing. So in the background here, you can see a mountain peak way in the background. And then here's a photo that I took through the binoculars. And this is Long's Peak. It's a 14,000 foot mountain. And right in the middle there, you'll see that little dip. right in the middle, that is called the keyhole. And a lot of people hike up the back side of that mountain, believe it or not. And sadly, many people die there. It's pretty risky. So I went there on Monday. I did not see any turkeys, but then this morning, I um, I did something special, and I wanted Danielle to run an unusual poll. Hopefully, you're caffeinated and ready. I want to know, have you ever eaten spam? And for this question, I actually welcome Dara and Aaron and Jamie. Jamie and Aaron work with me at Ramblin Jackson. I'm curious, so I'm going to go ahead and vote. Have you ever tried spam? Brian, I can see you thinking about it over there, buddy. Tell us the truth. Have you tried spam? There's no right or wrong answer. There is no judgment here about your spam behavior. If you've had spam, if you haven't had spam. Okay, Heidi has shared that she's only tried turkey spam. Um, Danielle, have people replied yet?
Mostly. We've got a few who are holding out on us, but I'll go ahead and end the
Okay,
poll.
so this is a really important business question.
Okay,
So if you could please answer the question
there we
about
go.
spam, and let me know, go ahead and share the results when you think we've had most of the people,
All right,
Danielle.
there you go.
Okay, so can everyone else see these?
I think so.
Okay, good, because it looks like most people, 53% have tried spam. I'm curious if we excluded the office people like Jamie and Dara and Aaron, what of the landscape people. Maybe we muddled the results by having everyone vote. So pretty close though, 53 to 47%. And I was just talking with some people about this, and they were like, you know what? I just can't do it. I will not eat spam. And I want to share that I used to think that I wouldn't eat spam either. I was like, oh, spam's gross. It's canned meat. There's a canned meat aisle at Walmart and it includes spam. Like, I don't think so. But the other night I had to go to Walmart to get some dishwasher detergent and I got some spam. And today I had spam and I wanted to tell you about it and what it has to do with what it has to do with life. So I went turkey hunting with my 9-year-old son this morning, and here's a photo from inside the turkey blind. And one of our family rules around hunting, I don't know that it's a rule, but when I took my kids hunting last year, I said, hey boys, when you go hunting, bring something to share. So I shared a scone with them last year and they loved it. And so my son brought spam, he brought these crackers, and he brought extra gum. And that was it. I brought some beef jerky and a scone from the market and some coffee. And man, this was so good. This was the way to start the day. So what does this have to do with recruiting? Now, some of you may be coming here and you may have already decided that you can't hire anyone. I can't hire anyone. My employees don't use the internet. I don't eat spam, right? So if you're in the I don't eat spam camp, or my employees don't use the internet, you might be missing out on a really incredible experience of solving your biggest problem in your business. For most businesses, like requiring, oh, Dara has tried it. Musubi, it was delicious. Yeah, Jamie was saying that she's had that. Now I need to have that. Did you have it in Hawaii, Dara? Where did you have this spam?
No, my friend made it for me because I said I had never tried it.
Wow. Okay, you'll try anything when in the country and there's not a grocery store available for hours. So yeah, sometimes someday you might have to eat spam. But the point is, I used to think spam was awful and it was terrible, and then recently I tried it and it's actually really good. It's legit. I like it's great. So I'm going to share some ideas with you today, and you're kind of be like, you know what? I don't believe you, Jack. This is BS. I have been in business for 20 years, and this doesn't work. But if you haven't tried it, You'll never know if it'll work for you. So I'm inviting you to try some things in recruiting. I love it. Tanisha's saying we will try anything for recruiting, including eating spam, and it just has not worked well. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to share some proof with you. I'm going to share an interview with a real landscape company owner who came to one of these workshops, implemented one of the ideas I'm going to share, and literally got over 100 applicants. And that sounds spammy. So we're going to watch a video of this guy saying it. Okay. So that's the deal today. Pay attention. If you think spam is too gross, this is probably time to leave because there are lots of other spam. No, actually, that's the end of the spam. So we're going to get into the Landscaper's Ultimate Guide to Recruiting. So we've created a course that helps people with their recruiting, and there's a lot to it around leading a company with core values, mission, and vision, attracting A players through employer branding and recruiting. A lot of people glaze over this first part about leading with a mission, vision, and core values, thinking that it's spam. It is BS. It is business consultant jargon. But I'm going to tell you that this sort of thing really matters to employees who are going to pick and choose where they can work. There's so much demand for landscaping, and there's so much demand for employees to do landscaping that employees can really pick and choose where they're going to work. And they want to work at a great company that's led by mission, vision, and core values and a leader. So we can't get too far into that today. We are going to get into some of the more tactical side of employer branding and recruiting. But I just wanted to let you know that there's more to it. And today we don't have enough time to cover all of it, but we're going to cover some of the most important parts. I saw in the chat here that there are HR people, there are marketing people, and you've got to do this work together. You've got to do your employer branding and recruiting with the owner of the company and the marketing people and the HR people. As an example, I was looking at the recruiting page for a landscape company here in Colorado. This was a couple years ago. And he's like, Jack, I've been trying to hire for a foreman for over a year. And I was like, well, let's take a look at your job ad. And I just started asking basic questions like, so what kind of pay range do you have? What kind of benefits do you offer? And believe it or not, they had like paid time off. They had health, dental, and vision. They had a 401k match. They had paid volunteering. They had this whole list of things. But were they mentioned in their careers page? Quick poll. What do you think? Type yes or no in the chat. What do you think? Okay, I'm kind of leading the witness here. No, they didn't. And I said, well, why isn't any of that stuff in your careers page? No, they're like, oh, our HR person does that. I'm like, well, what is your HR person doing letting you have this careers page without any of the benefits that you offer that are like above industry standard? And they were like, oh, I guess they should look at the website. So it's very simple, but I can't tell you how often I meet with multi-million-dollar companies that have enormous recruiting problems, and one hand isn't clapping with the other. We've got to get the recruiting executed by the owner, the recruiting, your HR manager, and your marketing people. So if you're an owner, take this information back to your HR person. If you're the HR person, take this back and meet with your marketing people, share the recording with them, because when you do, when those things are aligned, that's what we got to do to get the results. So attracting A players through employer branding and recruiting, again, starts with leading with that culture, with the mission, vision, and core values. Why should somebody work for you? I saw in the chat that one of you said, we would do anything to get, applicants. And so I'm curious, what would you tell them if they said, hey, look, I've got an offer from 2 other landscape companies. The pay is the same. Why should I choose you? The answer to that question is your unique employment position. So you hear probably about unique selling position. Why should customers buy from you? But equally important is, why should employees choose to work for you? So if you're getting 0 applicants, we're gonna focus on the problem that most landscaping job ads have, and I'm gonna give you a preview of how to stand out with some of this content. So the problem I see with nearly every job advertisement, and I used to make this mistake, is not answering the most important question. The most important question in sales and marketing is the same in your recruiting advertising, and it's what's in it for me? Why should I work for you instead of some other landscape company or some other construction company or some other job that pays similarly that maybe isn't outside and maybe isn't as hard? Why really should I work for that? And the answer is dependent on who you're asking it to, because not everyone out there is a potential employee for us. In fact, many people are a bad fit for what you do, right? So this comes down to who is your hell yes employee. So your hell yes employee, these are the people who have been on your team for 3, 5. Some of you I've met and interviewed employees who have been at landscape companies for 10 or 20 or even 30 or 40 years. In fact, I have a client who is taking over his parents' business that they started in the 70s, and he's about my age. He's in his late 30s, and he has a supervisor there who worked there when he was born, right? So the guy who's now the owner of the company is managing somebody who's like 40 years older than him. But that's cool, right? So this company has been around for a long time. And that person isn't just sticking around because they've been there and they don't want to fire him. Like, that person is a hell yes employee. They help run the company. They push it forward. They're a key part of the culture there. So that's a hell yes employee. What are those people? What do they have in common? And how do we attract more of them? So I like to write down negative information. So what I mean by that is, who were the hell no employees? Who were the people that you've had to fire, or when they quit, you were relieved? I think there's kind of 3 things that happen when employees leave your company. Either it's time, and it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be bad. In fact, I've had numerous people where, like, we just kind of reached the end and they moved on, and I actually still keep in touch with them, and it was great, and I was here for them in that part of their life, and they were here for me, and it's all gravy. We just kind of reached the end, and it's kind of bittersweet. Or it's like, wow, I'm really relieved that this person doesn't work here anymore. Or, oh man, I'm so bummed, like, this person quit, like, wow, I'm devastated, like, this sucks. How am I going to replace them? So that middle camp where you're like relieved that they're gone, what was it about them? I don't want to hear any names here in the Zoom chat. I don't want to hear about like a specific person, but maybe go ahead and type in the chat, what are some attributes of people that you don't want at your company? Because I think getting clear on this is really important. I'll share that one of them for me is people who are late. People who are like late to meetings or Zoom meetings, or they're like in the middle of their lunch at the start of a meeting. Like, I just don't want to work with you. Not following company policy, low maturity and accountability, always late, and bad communication, negative and bringing down morale. Okay, so these are some real things. Not doing what they are asked to do, their job, so that can happen. But then there's also, I don't know, sometimes I've realized I haven't been clear. Well, what is the job? And some of it's my fault too. And there are also people who just don't do their job. Glass is half full. They're not willing to train other team members. Okay, so we've got some things. So what are some positive attributes of the people? This is gold. This is gold stuff in here. What you guys are sharing. What are some of the things that your A players have? I'm going to share some things in the chat. I like people who are always learning. People, and that's something that I interview around, like, hey, what's something new that you've learned in the last 6 months? A hell yes employee for me would be like, oh, I just learned this software, or I read this personal development book, or this sort of thing. Grit, willing to take on extra responsibilities. So the point is like writing these things down. When the right person sees them and reads them, they'll be like, yeah, I want to work somewhere that values this also, because my current company, everyone's late, everyone has a negative attitude, and there's only excuses made when mistakes are made. And I want to work somewhere that has accountability, where people are punctual, that are professional. So when you get into these things, this is what can help you start to get clear on who is your hell yes employee. So who is your employee, hell yes employee, and then what are some of the pains or problems that they're having currently? This is a key thing. What problem does your job solve for this person? This is kind of the whole thing, right? So yes, you're going to pay them, and they're going to like buy groceries and pay rent and like kind of basic stuff, right? That's kind of a big part of employment. But what else though? Like they could be working somewhere else. What is the problem that they're having at the other company or at the other job that you solve for them? So that's where getting into empathy, like what is their life like currently? And we recently hired somebody here, who I'm really excited about, because Jamie, our sales and marketing manager, helped hire this person. Hi, Jamie. And I was like, you know what? I wanna hire somebody who's like the top of their class. They're in college and they're probably bored. They're probably bored and they don't have another job somewhere else. They're like ready. They're not quite a full-time employee marketing professional yet, but they're not an unpaid intern. Like we're not sending this person to get coffee. They're already beyond that. Maybe they're an Eagle Scout, right? Or they're like the top of their class. So sure enough, like we get a ton of applicants, and one of the final people is this guy Hayden, who joined our team. And Hayden was like the top of his class, and he's in school, and he was working at the grocery store. Like he's like working really hard and going to college and is an Eagle Scout. And when we interviewed him, I was like, wow, this is a great fit. Like a great, like it'll solve the problem that it'll solve for him. Is it's going to help him get to wherever he's going in his career. This is exactly the right fit. So that's an example of the problem, right? So I thought about a specific person and what kind of problem do they have? And then I wrote and made a video that answered that. And we attracted that person. So we've got to get into the heart and the mind of our hell yes employee. Here are some of the pains that I go to when writing job advertisements for landscape companies. So this is partly based on interviewing. I've personally interviewed dozens of professionals in the landscape industry about their jobs. And I go to conferences, and I've gone out to the bar in Nashville. I don't drink, but I got to hang out with some of the employees of one of my clients. We were at the Grow conference in Nashville a couple of years. It was awesome. But like things like low pay. But low pay isn't the only thing. In fact, one of these guys that I was out with was telling me that he actually took a pay cut to work for my client because he knew, though, that it was going to be a step in the right direction. And for him, the motivating factor was that he was working for a company he felt was unethical, that they were like lying to their customers and overcharging them, not taking care of things. And I had another employee who was an account manager. So this was a commercial position. They were doing account management for a commercial landscape company. They felt like their old company was unethical and they were being asked to sell things that they didn't believe in, right? So that it's not always pay, but pay is definitely one of them, especially with inflation. And this is really challenging as an employer, honestly, to keep up with this and keep your prices up to date. It's hard, and everyone's feeling it. Another one, though, can be like terrible tools or a lack of training. I've talked with a number of landscape professionals who quit their previous job because they were suddenly asked to do all these things that they had no experience in, no training. Um, and a big one, though, is no career path. So career path is really important for a lot of people, and so is onboarding. So these are just a handful of the pains. Um, and I invite you to ask people if you have an interview coming up with some potential employees, like ask them some open-ended questions like, hey, can you tell me more about why are you looking for a new job? It looks like you already have one, or like, what was it about your past position that didn't work for you? Um, Tanisha is shouting yes in the chat. I wanted to ask you to unmute so you could tell me what is a yes and what's going on in the chat that we should know about. Tanisha Redden, are you here?
Here I
There
am,
you
I'm
are.
here. Yes, yes.
And you have a cat, you have like an AI cat thing. I have not seen this on Zoom before.
Well, I just recently lost my cat, so I'm in cat fever.
Oh, I am so sorry.
No,
So
no, it's
you're
fine. It's been about a year, but it's still a little fresh for me. I had her for 11 years. The yes, yes. I was basically saying as far as I have a brain fart. Um, what did you just say about career advancement, career development? You definitely want to have that in place and letting them know that there are opportunities for advancement within the company.
and so can you remind us, I'm trying to look in the chat, where are you? What company are you with? And what do you do?
I'm with Priority Landscape. We're in Gary, Indiana.
Okay, cool. And what do you do there?
I'm the HR director.
So how do you communicate with employees about career path? Because I found sometimes I think it's really clear in my mind, and my employees have no idea what I'm thinking, and maybe I've even tried to talk to them about it. Have you found a way that like works for people to understand what the career path is?
I'm just very blunt and open with everybody here, which I think a lot of them are kind of shocked by it because we're so open here, even from the owner. Um, like we basically are like everyday people. We want you to know that we're everyday people. We're no different, whatever position we're in. Even though I'm in HR, they don't see me as being in HR until they actually know that I'm the one that's processing their payroll check. So it's more so like I hate the phrase family oriented. We're more just everyday people. Like I'm like the girl next door talking to you like you're a guy that just lives next door versus I'm the HR director, you're a crew member, you cut grass. We're
Right.
just very, very just open, laid back. Like we just have casual conversation with one another, regardless of being in management or being a crew member.
And how many people work at, is it prior, did you say priority?
Yeah, priority.
How many people work there in the peak season?
Um, we're at about 60 right now, I believe. Here in Indiana, we actually have a branch in Michigan as well.
Cool. So
With a
how do you, how many, how
transportation
often are,
company,
I mean,
10
that's
people.
a lot of people to keep tabs on.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that, so how do you do that? How do you kind of keep tabs on the career path for like 60 plus people?
Well, it's more so just talking with each one individual to see where their mind is. Are you looking to be promoted? Are you looking to gain those leadership skills and additional skills so you can move up in the company?
And do you ever find that some people don't want necessarily leadership skills, but they do want to be promoted?
Oh yeah, there's guys that are just like, no, I just want to be a laborer for the rest of my life. So
Yeah. Well, so I think it's a really good conversation to have with people, because sometimes I had this at my own company. People think, oh, the only promotion opportunity for me is to be a manager. And I'm like, no, we actually have highly skilled specialists. And what would we do without them, and
Yeah,
help them realize like management is not the only path. So I think getting clear with people that there is career path that's not just management, because like you said, some people are like, I love what I do. I want to keep doing it for forever. And that doesn't mean that though that they can't grow their income or take on other responsibilities at the company.
absolutely. Can
Awesome,
I
Tanisha.
answer Heidi's question really quick?
I'm sorry.
Can I answer Heidi's question really quick?
Yeah, what is it?
We actually have a lot of Spanish speaking people here, of course, it's landscaping. So we've actually, a lot of our office staff have started using the Translate app on their phone to actually speak with our workers that do not speak English very well.
So yeah, Heidi's question was it can be hard when employees don't speak English. And I definitely think it can be. And I think I just asked the front desk at the chiropractor yesterday. I'm like, hey, how can I teach my kids Spanish better? Because both of the people there they are native Spanish speakers that have moved to the United States. And they were like, they actually said, Tanisha, don't use Google Translate because so much gets lost in the actual message and meaning. I think it's like okay for like some stuff, but I think a lot can get lost in translation. I have another client who they promote people who are bilingual, so that can be another opportunity too. But Chat GPT is great for translating. I mean, there's definitely translation tools out there, but I think some of them you can miss some of the nuance of what's actually being communicated. So I wouldn't rely on it 100%. Um, and Danielle says that there's a translation tool in Team Engine, which is awesome. And one of the things I like about Team Engine is that you can do a text message newsletter. So you can send out text messages and it can help you translate it. So tone is so important. There's a lot of nuance to it, and yes, there's a ton of incredible tools. Google Translate, Chat GPT. Uh, I just think there's a certain human element to it, though, that is beyond just English words being swapped into Spanish. That when you're really working to retain people is important. All right. Well, thanks, Tanisha. Sorry about your cat, and thanks for playing. I'm curious. Do you eat spam? I don't know that she's going to answer that one, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, now we have two cats on Zoom. I have not had this happen before, so I'm gonna have to El Poquito. All right, very good. That's good. Okay, so speaking of things employees care about beyond spam, providing benefits, perks, and wages. So I would write down all of the perks and benefits that you offer. So if you have, like I shared with that example, the landscape company that had, I think it was health, dental, vision, a 401k match, they had paid time off. Those things were not clear. Those are benefits. If you have, so as an example, one of my clients has a branded career university. It's called Pleasant Landscapes University. It's not necessarily like an HR benefit, but wow, is that a huge perk? Because remember, one of the main pains that people have is a lack of career advancement, a lack of training. And if they see that you have a university and hers is in Spanish, where you can learn these new skills and here's how you can get the support to increase your pay and take on more, that's going to make you stand out against somebody else. So those are some of the things that we're going to want to include in our recruiting ads. We want to whittle it down to 3 reasons to work at your company. So once you've outlined your pains, now it's time to write down like, what do you do differently? What are the 3 reasons to work at your company? You could survey and interview your employees and find out. And this then makes its way into your careers page, your job ads, your recruiting interview questions, offer letters. Ours are grow your craft. So like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I look for is people who are like hungry to learn new stuff. And part of the reason is that's part of my nature is I'm always hungry to learn and we're always reading books and we're always learning. And one of our core values is grow or die because frankly, in marketing and technology, if we're not growing and learning and adapting, we're dying. Work-life balance is something that people want and a reason to work here. And then ultimately making big results for small businesses. So if people don't care about small businesses, they're not going to be a good fit here. So you might be thinking, Jack, this is all wonderful, but it sounds like spam. I think this is spam. Spam is in the canned meat aisle. This is a bunch of phooey. I only eat real whole foods, real meat and potatoes. This doesn't work in the landscape industry. So that's normal. People typically feel that way. So I wanted to share with you a interview we recorded. It wasn't even an interview. Like we were just recording a Zoom meeting because that's part of how we make our content for clients is we record them talking. And here's what one of them had to say after implementing what I'm sharing with you.
We rewrote all our job descriptions with the what's in it for me type of format. I have never seen so many applicants come in. It's been amazing. Like 120 since last Friday.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean people are looking for what's in it for them, and if you put it, make it easy. I mean, that's kind of how it works.
So that was Garrett Churchill, and they attracted real humans to work at their landscape company with some of these basic things that I've shared with you all so far. So one of the things, if you're in a really competitive market and addressing part of the language concerns that you have here, is to use video. So video is amazing because you capture some of that emotion from people when they talk about why they love working there or what they didn't like about their old company. It adds this level of credibility that you, the owner of the company or the HR manager or whatever, like, can I really believe you? Yeah, kind of, but I can really listen to somebody else who has done this job. And so the next part is about how to use video to attract people. So producing a compelling recruiting video, I would interview your top employees and you might interview both new hires, maybe get a testimonial clip of somebody at like 30 days. Like, how is your job going? Oh, I've never had a better onboarding. I'm only 30 days in and it's already going well. Also interview veteran employees. It's compelling to hear from people who have been here for years and hear the story of their career path, knowing that career path is a key thing that motivates people to choose where they're going to work. Hearing stories of this can really help. And we will, I want to share with you to ask open-ended questions. So some of them, what's your favorite part about working here? How would you describe the culture? Tell me about your career path. Where did you start and where are you now? And, without mentioning the specific employer, this is where we get into those pains. What were some of the challenges at your previous jobs that made you leave? And how are those different here? These are the real things that people want to hear about. Would you recommend working here to a friend? Why? What would you tell them? And then this is a gold question. Who would not be a good fit working at this company? I want to share a story about this. So I had a client that I helped with their recruiting, and I dug into some of the problems and are like, you know what? A lot of people are lasting like 2 or 3 months here and then they quit. And you're going to have some of that in the landscape industry because it's hot, it's hard work, it's outside. Like it's just some of it's the nature of the game. But when we dug deeper, I'm like, well, what did those people have in common? And they're like, well, they didn't want to work over 40 hours a week. I was like, oh, well, tell me more about that. And they're like, and part of it is here in Colorado, we get so much rain. Last year by June, we had more rain than we average in a year. So just in the first 6 months of the year. So the first 6 months of the year, hardly any work got done. And there was this enormous backlog and you needed to work overtime to catch up for it the rest of the year. And some people love it because they're getting paid overtime and they're like, great, give me all the hours I can get. And then sometimes people are, they're like, dude, I'm working 39.2 hours. Anything over that like is a deal breaker. Great. That's okay. Some companies operate that way, but not ours. So asking people on camera who would not be a good fit, one of the answers is, oh, people who only want to work 40 hours a week because the weather, sometimes we work overtime. That can help prevent, you know, situations that aren't a good fit for you. And then is there anything else? And then I like to have a call to action like, hey, come join our team at whatever company name. And now you've got a bunch of gold content. You can put that on your careers page. You can put that on your each and every one of your job listings and all of these different places. So this is, you know, essential to attracting people, is getting clear on who, like, I want you to think about an actual specific person that is reading the job ad. It's not just a number of applicants. Like, really think about who is the person, like, what are they doing in life, and write your ad around them. What are their pains and problems? What are their goals? What's in it for me, for them? And write your ads starting with that. So there's a lot more. I'm going to recap on some of it and then take some of the questions from the audience. So the next steps, part of what part of this is generating leads, and part of generating leads includes the landscaper's foundation of digital marketing. This is the premise behind my book, The Tree of Good Fortune, where we talked a bit about some of this today, branding and differentiation. Why are you different? Your website, is this communicated on a careers page? Local SEO, are you using the keywords that your potential employees are using? There's so much more that we didn't get into. And then online reviews, right? Because if you're a 3-star company on Google and you have a 2-star average on Glassdoor, why would employees choose to work for you? They're going to be snooping around online. So a lot of marketing, especially the foundational 4, is going to impact what you do. And that's why we help people with not only their marketing to get new customers, but also marketing to attract employees. So we want to clarify our hell yes customer. We want to clarify our hell yes employee. And we want to recruit in that way. We want to attract people through all these different things. And remember that recruiting is ultimately a marketing activity. One of the things that goes wrong in recruiting is being slow. Being slow kills sales, and being slow absolutely kills recruiting. So I want to share with you one of the reasons we choose to partner with Team Engine is because it makes your recruiting easy, organized, and efficient. So you can sort your applicants. You can solicit Glassdoor reviews. You can push out your job ads on a variety of different places and ultimately coordinate this so it's fast. So if you're an HR manager, you'd have these tools at the tips of your fingers and you'd be able to automate a lot of this. Like one of the things I hear about from people is that they get interviews scheduled, but they have a low show up rate. So Team Engine can automate that. Hey, Carl, we look forward to seeing you at your interview today. Like little reminders like your dentist does, right? Helps people show up. So Team Engine has a proven process for setting this up. And with Ramblin Jackson, we take it a step further to help you with your branding. We can help you with your videos, with your job ad copywriting. And I'd love to send you some resources around that. You can check out my podcast, The Landscaper's Guide. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, check it out there. Check us out on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. Feel free to connect with me there. But there's so much more that I couldn't cover that I'd love to send you in a free copy of my book, The Tree of Good Fortune. So this book has a whole chapter on recruiting, plus content to help you streamline your sales, stand out from your competition, command higher prices, cut unnecessary marketing expenses, increase your profit, attract highly qualified employees, and ultimately enjoy running your company. So as a gift, for those of you who have stayed here till the end, I'll actually send you a free copy of The Tree of Good Fortune plus a recruiting review video from Alyssa. So Alyssa works on our team. She and I have looked at literally hundreds of websites, and she'll make a short video for you pointing out some things you're doing well in your recruiting and giving you some options for improving it. And you can have a recruiting brainstorm call with Alyssa after you get that video. So we're going to send out an email to you right now, just one time. So look for that email and just reply yes. So when you get the email, if you'd like for me to send you the free book and the video review of your website, just reply yes. We'll send it to you with some beef jerky, maybe even a can of Spam, and you'll try it and it'll work. And you can learn more about us at ramblinjackson.com/recruiting. So we've got a little bit of time, and I wanted to see Danielle, Dara, Jamie, are there any questions? Yes, that's right, Tanisha. Freebies and jerky. We like to send people beef jerky and books and help you guys get started, figure out what do you need to do next. So while we're here, we have another 7 minutes. Danielle, did you have any announcements before if you want me to look at your website or a job ad, go ahead and type it in the chat, because this is where I usually like to I'm going to take a look at it. So type your website in the chat. And I'm curious, were there other questions I missed in the chat?
I've been keeping a pretty close eye. Haven't seen any questions come in, but it's not too late. If you have a burning question, you can chat that in, or you can go ahead and just hop off of mute and talk to us. And just a quick reminder that I will be sending out the recording today, as well as the slides from Jack's presentation. So look for those to come in an email from me a little bit later today.
Okay, good. Let's see. So we've got
There we've got new garden.
okay, so I'm trying to see who is it? RSC Landscaping. So I'm going to tee a few of these up and give you guys some quick feedback on it.
Jack, I had a quick question.
Yes.
You touched base there quickly. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee, where again, cost of living, especially over the last 2-3 years, has really gotten a little bit out of control. I'm our regional recruiter, so I hire for multiple different cities and different states, and Nashville is probably my biggest challenge because of that. What's the best way that I can portray that to executives and ownership that, like, hey, here's my challenge? Not necessarily like, I think we were competitive maybe 2 years ago, but we've kind of fallen behind in that. How do I present that to like an owner to show them? Because it's not, I mean, it's easy to say, hey, we need to pay our employees more, but how can I really present that in a way that makes sense to them?
Well, I think part of it is maybe collecting some data on it. They might be unaware that things have changed that much. So I'm curious, do you work with like a payroll company?
Yes, we use ADP for a lot of our payroll.
Okay, so ADP should be able to give you some salary information for Nashville that's current. So that may be helpful to figuring out how much. The other thing that I like to do, hey, let's just do this because you should all know how to do this. If you haven't done this, this is what we're going to do. We are going to pretend that we are an employee in Nashville, and I'm going to need to end right on the hour, by the way, just so you guys know. I may not be able to review everyone's website, but if you reply yes to my email, we'll be sure to make a website review video for you. Okay, so here's the key thing that many people haven't done. So I was getting ready to look at RSC, but you guys can see my Google browser, right? And let's do landscaping jobs, Nashville, Tennessee. What position are you struggling to hire?
Specifically lawn care technicians.
Okay. And so Google's even suggesting it. And so what you can do though is go in here and start looking and seeing what kind of compensation are you seeing in your marketplace. Have you looked at this?
Yeah, very briefly, and we do seem to be just slightly below kind of market average is about 18 to 20. We kind of market ours at 17 to 22.
Okay. When would you actually pay somebody 17?
That's their starting pay for training, and then once they get through a couple weeks of training, we actually pay on a production-based pay, so that makes it a little challenging as well.
Okay. Well, I guess just at a glance, though, I am seeing a similar range for that. What else could I do in Nashville, Tennessee for $18 to $20 an hour?
These days, quite frankly, Jack, just about anything.
Well,
Already
all right.
all the
Yeah, so this is where typically what happens is the lawn care thing, like required 3 years of lawn care experience, all of this, like all of these requirements to make $18 an hour in 2024, when McDonald's is hiring, like the McDonald's here in Boulder is starting at $22 an hour now with no experience. So that's why earlier when I was saying like compared to what? So, and this is, I don't have like a magic bullet answer, by the way. I think this is a really difficult challenge when we're recruiting in this pay range because there are so many other jobs that don't, I guess my point is like, could you teach someone? Because if you could teach someone, maybe we start removing all of the, I guess in general, most of the job ads I see have enormous requirements, very little mention of what's in it for me, and they're starting at like $17 an hour. And then meanwhile, there's like hundreds of other jobs that pay $20 an hour that have none of the requirements and they're indoors and in air conditioning and they have like other stuff. So that's where I think if you have the ability to train and hire people, like remove the restrictions. So that's one thing. But I think for everyone though, like go and look at your market. Go and search as if you were this particular employee and see like what are you seeing. I was curious if Dara or Danielle had anything else to add on that question about recruiting for that type of position.
Dara, you got something? You look like you were gonna.
Uh, I actually was thinking about for when you asked presenting the increased pay wage. I think a good way to present it to the team is if you can look at your cost of vacancy and compare that to the cost of increasing wage, because we see on average, companies are losing about $200 a day for open positions.
Yeah.
And then there's lots of like unspoken costs there as well that are a lot harder to find. Like if you need to fill these roles and you're not getting them filled, then that's putting undue burden on the employees who are still with you. They're going to burn out faster. They're going to be gone. So thinking about those are that are a little bit harder to define, but have a really big impact on the staffing.
Cool. Well, this was really fun. I noticed one person is here from North Carolina. I wanted to let you know I'm doing a workshop at the end of the month at the North Carolina Nursery Landscape Association. I think that's the name of it. So if you're going to that, look for me there. It's a whole different expansion on today's topic. And I wanted to thank Dara and Danielle and Team Engine for having me today.
Yeah. Thanks so much for presenting, Jack. It's always a pleasure. Love to hear your knowledge and expertise. And thanks to all of you for attending and sticking with us for the full hour. Look for emails from both from me and from Jack's team a little bit later today, and we'll catch you at the next one. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, guys.